What's going on, guys? Thanks for stopping by the AK HVAC YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about a vacuum pump with an extreme size. No, it's not that big white one behind me. It's on the other end of the spectrum. Today we're going to talk about this, a 2 CFM battery operated vacuum pump. Is it a gimmick? Is it a toy? Or is it a game changer? Let's talk about it. A few days ago, I did a split system change out. We put in a 4-ton York straight AC 1 1/8" line sets for a factory that made sunroofs for vehicles. Enough of me trying to make it look cool. Anyway, vacuum pumps have always been one of those really annoying things to have to grab and haul around when you're doing jobs in the HVAC world, whether it's roping it up onto a roof, lugging it across a roof. Recovering and evacuation can be annoying and frustrating in commercial environments, particularly because of the fact that there's so many times where we don't have accessible power. This usually leads to us doing questionable things, running multiple extension cords, causing voltage drops that go against the manufacturer's specs, as well as doing things like using the widow cords and tapping into God knows what, 480 off random equipment, and just create all kinds of scenarios that are unsafe and not healthy for the equipment itself. I know I've always thought of a day that maybe we'd have these things run on a battery, but I didn't think it'd be in my career or something that was reasonable or cost effective. But as of 2019, the opportunity will be there to pick up this, the new NAVAC NP2DLM. It is a 2 CFM battery operated vacuum pump. It runs on 18-volt batteries. You've got an oil fill port, you have an oil drain port, you have a sight glass, an on-off button, and a ball valve to isolate the pump. There is not a gas ballast on this pump, though I confirmed it is 2-stage, but it's super light. I think it's 8 pounds, roughly 8 pounds, and it's really it's really one of those things you've got to just hold in person to realize how ridiculously small and light this thing is. It came in a nice carrying case that can accommodate the pump, the charger, and 2 batteries at least. You could throw a couple core tools in there if you wanted and you'd be good to go. So anyways, I thought this job at the sunroof factory was a perfect opportunity to test this thing out because of the fact it was 4-ton, and 4 to 5 ton-ish is when you're kind of getting to that upper limit of what you'll see in residential environments. So instead of just testing this thing on a recovery machine or something like that, we're gonna get to see how it acted on a larger end system that you may find in a home. I'll also note we did not replace the line sets for this job. The customer didn't want to pay for that. So we are using the old line sets, and that's what we'll be evacuating. We'll be evacuating that line set as well as the indoor unit. The suction line on this equipment is 1 1/8", so you've got a larger volume as well there to put this thing to the test. You've got 1 1/8" line set, about 27 feet long, so not an incredibly long run, but a pretty average or standard length of pipe. But I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing me blabbing. You just want to see something happen. So here's a little montage of what happened, how it went down, how quickly it happened, and was it good or bad? Well, see for yourself. heck did we just see? I got back to the house to start editing this video and I realized there's hardly even any footage of what happened itself because it happened so quickly. So what you saw, and I'm gonna pull up the screenshot of the Measure Quick final report of the evacuation, was a 17-minute start to finish process. So that included our first and our rough-in vacuum, our mid-stage, and our deep vacuum, as well as the decay portion of seeing what our rise was after we valved and isolated the pump from the system. Measure Quick has an algorithm built into the software that actually monitors the rate of micron rise and can extrapolate from that what the decay will be in a longer duration of time without you actually having to sit through it. So after analyzing for about a minute, it came out and it told me that we had a decay rate of 8 minutes and 33 seconds and we raised an average of 1/10 of 1 micron per minute. It said that a 1 micron raise per minute is probably the high end of what's an acceptable decay. So we had a good, tight, clean system. This was ironclad proof to me as the technician that did it in person that the pump size is of little matter compared to the proper setup when it comes to the diameter of the hoses you're using and removing restrictions like your valve cores, etc., not pulling through a manifold. We used a 2 CFM pump with 3/4 inch inner diameter hoses, and we easily matched the speed that would have taken somebody with an 8 CFM pump with 1/4 inch hoses, say, for example, or going through a manifold. To me, and I said this to myself that morning, even if this was a break-even experiment with time, like it matched exactly what a 5, 6, 7, 8 CFM pump could do. To me, this is still a huge deal and a massive win for the industry to have a product like this because of the convenience factor. To not have to find power, not even have that be an issue. Now you're not dragging extension cords, you're not dragging out GFCIs, you're not dragging out your Widowmakers. On a side note too, I got to finish up that job using NAVAC's wireless refrigerant scale. It was a pleasure to use. I have an old antique one in a black briefcase that I've had for years, and it's always served me well. But man, was this a nice jump in luxury having something like this with the nice hidden compartment for the controller that pops right out. It's spring loaded. Now I didn't have to use this feature for this install, but I thought I'd do it just to demonstrate the process. NAVAC does give you the ability to program your weigh-in charge if you need to do so. You can put that in there, you can hit enter, and it actually gives you an audible alarm when you're approaching and reach that magic number. So in this case, I used the manufacturer's literature to determine the additional charge I needed to add beyond the factory charge to compensate for the additional length of line set we had. It came out to 8.5 ounces. Probably didn't need to use this feature for that, but again, I just wanted to show how it was done. And it worked perfectly. I mean, I only had to open the valve for a few seconds, but sure enough, the audible tone sounded and I knew that I was good to go. The NAVAC NP2DLM, again, is due sometime early next year, which means really just a couple of weeks from now. And I would recommend picking up an extra battery. Yes, we did that pull down in 17 minutes. I don't anticipate that being everybody's experience every time. It just makes sense if you're going battery to have a spare with you, just with anything else that's battery operated. And with that, guys, thanks so much again for watching. Appreciate it as always. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.